So this is it?
Yeah, that's the place.
All that marks the grave of Gibson Petros Sox Nube is a pile of stones in the bush. He was a victim of mass killings by the Mugabe government in the early 1980s. His nephew is the only one who knows the location.
Why can you not just take the remains yourself and take them home?
No, the government couldn't allow that.
The government doesn't allow?
No, it doesn't allow that.
Why not?
No. You know, it was only now we came openly. It was even, you couldn't even talk about such things. The spirit, we believe, that's our belief, that the spirit is still lingering at the bush. So painful.
Africans come first in the development of Africa, not as puppets, not as beggars, but as the sovereign people.
Tributes to Mugabe fill the airwaves, but few mourn him in Matabeleland. This is where he ordered a campaign of murder against the Ndbele, who supported his main political rival. They called it Gukuruhundi, the rain that washes away the chaff.
He was working at the shop there.
Yeah.
And then
Soldiers picked up Sox Nube's uncle Gibson from his place of work and put him in a tiny room with 50 others.
And then they waited here for about 6 or 7 hours before the army trucks came to take them to Balagwe. That's how it all started. It all started here.
Everything returns to bush in the end. But in the 1980s, Balagwe was the main camp for the feared North Korean-trained 5th Brigade, who carried out the torture, rape and killing. They massacred more than 20,000 civilians.
Nobody knows how many people were buried in the mass grave behind me. They were murdered here by the notorious 5th Brigade, and their bodies taken to a mine shaft nearby and dropped down. Years later, the bones were pulled out and buried back where they'd been killed. But unlike Robert Mugabe, who ordered their killings, they did not get a proper funeral. They do not rest in peace.
A few months ago, activists put up a memorial to the victims at Balagwe, but state security officers destroyed it. No wonder the people of Matabeleland have no interest in the funeral of Mugabe, who never apologized or allowed justice to be done.
Even if it doesn't rest in peace, I don't care, unfortunately, because I would have cared. It would have been something else if he had shown remorse by saying, people, we made a mistake. What is it that can be done so that we address the past injustices that happened in Matabeleland?
Who would forgive and forget? Not Keti Maposa. Her mother's 98. She's outlived Mugabe. But both are haunted by the memory of the night the soldiers came for the father of the house.
Bangeni indlela laye imota uthiwa babeyimise ngale kwentaba kwaba yikuhamba kwakho babazamthosi.
People here believe the restless spirit of an unburied relative can make you ill.
Ngoba kubuhlungu khathesi kunje ngiyahlupheka ngiyagula. Angilabane engizabika kuye. Ngabe kumbeni ithuna likababa ngiyalazi ukuthi lilaphana ngakungcono ngoba nganyahamba ngeguqa kuye ngimbikela udubo lwami. Manje akula.
Even now, Matabeleland is one of the poorest provinces in Zimbabwe, neglected, deliberately impoverished, while Mugabe's men enriched themselves. It wouldn't help much if the ambulances had wheels, as fuel is so scarce. Gibson's nephew, Sox Nube, is an ambulance driver.
Here in Matabeleland, are the spirits at rest?
No, not much. Most of them, I doubt if they're at rest. If you kill someone, it's so bad. The spirit will never rest.
Do you think that former President Mugabe's spirit will rest?
I just believe that guy is in trouble. If we go to heaven, you meet others whom you did something bad, we presume they can ask you, why were you killing us? That is it.
It's the dry season. When the rains come, they'll wash away the dust. The next generation is growing up in a land stalked by memory. This weekend sees the funeral of Robert Mugabe, but the spirits of those he had killed in Matabeleland cannot be quiet unless their bones are also given proper burial.
That's a continuing tragedy in Matabeleland. But here in Harare, where I am now, the whole issue of the funeral and burial of Robert Mugabe is turning into something of a farce, with the family of President Mugabe pitted against the government. Now, today, mourners, ordinary Zimbabweans, those who do see him as father of the nation because he was the leader which won the liberation war against white Rhodesia, they filed past the coffin. They and many others, like visiting heads of state, would expect him to be buried this weekend in Heroes Acre. Heroes Acre is where all the liberation war heroes are buried, all of his comrades. But the family, led by his widow, Grace Mugabe, is totally against that. Gucci Grace, as they call her. Grace, the first shopper, as they called her when she was the first lady. She says no, he has to be buried in Ndbele, his family home, next to his mother. Now, why is she so insistent on that? Well, maybe it's because his first wife, Sally Hefron Mugabe, is buried in Heroes Acre, and she doesn't want him buried next to Sally. Sally is still seen as an icon by many people here in Zimbabwe. Grace, she's not really a hero to anyone. She wanted to succeed President Mugabe as president of this country, but she was ousted by the current president, Emerson Mnangagwa. He survived, he says, after she tried to kill him with a poisoned ice cream from her dairy. Now, he has prevailed, but she came from Singapore with the body of the late president. Well, the latest is that there's going to be some kind of state event, some kind of funeral tomorrow. There may be a burial, but she still wants him buried in Ndbele, not in Heroes Acre. There's talk of a mock burial in Heroes Acre on Sunday. That sounds very strange. You can't bury a coffin without a body in it. And so the latest is that the whole thing is delayed and it may not happen for 30 days. This is a special species of confusion made here in Zimbabwe.